Welcome to Salem, Massachusetts, the location of the famous, or infamous, Salem Witch Trials. The Salem Witch Trials were a series of hearings accusing people of witchcraft in the 1690s. 30 people were found guilty, 19 of whom were executed by hanging. One other man, Giles Corey, was pressed to death. This episode is one of colonial America's most notorious cases of mass hysteria. It has been used in political rhetoric and in popular literature as a vivid cautionary tale about the dangers of isolation, religious extremism, false accusations, and the lapse in due process.
The building itself went up in the 1830s, and it was originally known as Lyceum Hall. It was a lecture hall at the time. So the general public could pay $1 or $2 to hear people like Frederick Douglass, the abolitionist. He gave a speech in there not long after the Lincoln assassination. Several former presidents spoke in there. Alexander Graham Bell did the first public demonstration of a long-distance phone call over there. Abolitionist, suffragist societies met in there. Seances happened in there during Main Street. So this is the location where condemned witches would be carted down Main Street, past their church, one mile straight ahead. When somebody comes up to me and says, "Oh, I saw someone in old-fashioned clothes," my first response is always, "So what? That's my day job." I can think of 100 reasons why you're going to see that. It's always the information that makes it interesting.
Morning time in Salem.
Well, while these two lovebirds are taking in the sights, let's talk a little bit about what a witch is, actually. What is a witch? Well, if you just take it out of the dictionary, then a witch is a woman thought to have magic powers, especially evil ones, popularly depicted as wearing black cloak, pointed hat, and flying on a broomstick. Well, isn't that something? The witchcraft craze ripped through Europe from the 1300s to the end of the 1600s. So the story of witches goes way, way back. It's unclear exactly when witches came on the historical scene, but one of the earliest records of witches is in the Bible, in the book of 1 Samuel, thought to have been written between 931 BC and 721 BC. It tells the story of King Saul, and he sought the Witch of Endor to summon the dead prophet Samuel's spirit to help him defeat the Philistine army. So the question is, are witches real? And is witchcraft real? Is it a real thing? Who's to say? There's still a lot about reality we don't understand, and we never will.
And there's been many other witch stories and witch hunts throughout history, some not so long ago, like in Ellie Kedward. Ellie Kedward was an Irish woman who was accused of witchcraft after several local people started reporting some strange incidents. It was in February 1785 when, at a little village in Maryland, several children accused Ellie of luring them into her home to take their blood. When the community heard about this, they banished her from the village. It was a particularly harsh winter, so they expected Ellie to succumb to the elements. But different reports state that the town beat Ellie and dragged her into the woods, tied her to a tree, and left her for dead. But to their horror, Ellie was alive. Several days after the beating and exposure to some of the harshest winters in history, they found that she had not succumbed to the elements, and that she was still tied to the tree. But something was different about Ellie. Something dark. After discovering she was still alive, the villagers sent dogs after her and slashed her with sticks and knives. Meanwhile, Ellie didn't resist. She almost welcomed it. They dipped their hands in her blood and pressed handprints into her flesh before untying her and hanging her from the very same tree. By midwinter that same year, all of Ellie Kedward's accusers, along with half of the town's children, had vanished. Fear of being cursed or bewitched, the villagers fled their beloved homes and vowed never to utter the name Ellie Kedward ever again. And what's the name of this town in Maryland, United States, you might ask? Well, it's Burkittsville, also known as Blair, Massachusetts, home of the Blair Witch. That's a story for another day.